Hey Malcolm, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. I just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through, put you back in your dress position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you here in your dress position, let's take a look at your setup. We can see here that your spine is a little bit rounded through here. Hopefully that doesn't straighten out. It has been. Okay, so let's clear that off. I'm going to have to make that a little bit more round. So we're a little bit rounded through here. Your legs then come down into a nicely unlocked position. You do hold your arms in very, very tight to you, and then the club works out to the ball. So, I mean, if I were going to work on your golf game, I have to change your posture and your balance and your distance away from the ball. It's critical to allow any athleticism to be able to pass through impact here. Basically, you're setting yourself up to a golf ball like if we were going to play baseball and I asked you to stand right against home plate. If a pitcher fires you a ball right down the middle, how are you going to get the barrel of the bat on the ball? You're not going to be able to. So you have to start in the right position. Well, what's the right position here for you? Well, what I would do is I'd ask you to sort of throw your tail out and up. We'd push your sternum out, up, and forward. And what that's going to do automatically for you, it's just going to straighten your spine. Okay, so it's going to put it in a nice angle as such. Your legs can then come down unlocked as they are, so that's not a problem. And then your arms can hang down nice and naturally in front of you, and then let the golf club work out to the ball. Now, notice this is completely changing your starting position. We're going from red into yellow. We're going from a rounded spine to a spine that's straight. We're backing you further away from the ball. We're going to get your hands further away from your thighs and increase the angle relationship between your arms and your golf club. Okay? So it's a completely different starting position. But as soon as we do that, any athleticism you have in your golf swing will be able to shine through. So this is the most imperative thing, for sure, out of the gate, that you have to change in your golf game. At this point, we can take a look at your alignment. Your alignment looks good. I mean, your feet are running in this direction. Carry that out towards the fairway. Theoretically, club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet. Parallel lines on camera would have an appearance to converge. Under that philosophy, you're set up right down the center of the fairway. So no issues. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Jordan Spieth. Now, before we go ahead and take a look at the golf swing, let's just very quickly just observe the posture I was talking about. So his spine's straighter, his tail's out and up better, spine's on way more of a tilt. He's definitely way further away from the golf ball. His hands are way further away from his thighs. Okay? So that's what we need to do. We need to get you into this position. Now from here, let's just look at the golf swing, generally. What do we want to do? Well, we want to turn our shoulders, bring our arms back, as well as our hands in the club. We want the club coming back directly along the red line on plane. Also in the early stages of the golf swing, we want to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play, which means that we're going to transition the club head currently from being below and in front of our hands to getting this club head above and behind our hands. So this is a very important move in the takeaway, in the transition of the takeaway. From here, we're now going to work the club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we either want to have the left arm in the golf club situated on the yellow line, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue, as we can see with Jordan Spieth. We want to have full shoulder rotation. We want to do this about a very stable right leg. As well, we want to create this motion upon our posture and our spinal axis that we achieved at address. So I'm going to point this out one more time. Where is his spine? Well, it's on an angle of about, let's call it 55 degrees. Let's go back down to address. Where did he start? He started at 55 degrees. So we create this entire rotational movement upon that axis that we achieved at address. Very, very important. So let's watch you initiate your takeaway here. We can see that you draw your hands back quite nicely. I actually anticipated your hands would go further outside, only because they're starting so close to you, but they barely go outside. So this is pretty good takeaway. So again, if you'd started in the right posture, balance, and especially distance away from the ball, you'd be in perfect position right now with your arms. Everything looks great. Let's get some hinge into play. Let's get the club head above and behind the hands. Let's see how that works. So not too bad there. Let's continue to work this club to the top of your backswing. So when we finally get to the top, Definitely your left arm's way too vertical, meaning that your left arm's above the blue line. I like to get your left arm maybe even closer down to the yellow line. I prefer amateur players to be a little closer to yellow than to blue because they have a harder time coming into the ball from on plane and returning the club to red if they don't. The other thing we see here is that your club's really laid off. See how the club shaft's pointed way left? So your club doesn't make it into the blue-yellow V zone. So we need to shallow out the arms, get the left arm closer to the yellow line, and we got to bring the club head over to the right a little bit so the club starts to, let's say, it's going to cross the line a little bit more per se. Your rotation's pretty decent, pretty stable right side. You rotate it off the axis you created, which, again, as we've already determined, is too tall. Okay? At this point in time, when we create our transition back into the ball, what do we want to do? Well, let's move our weight from our right foot to our left. Let's fire our knees and our hips laterally to the target, unwind our core, fire the hands, and in doing so, let's bring the golf club from the blue-yellow V zone, wherever we set it, back down onto red. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club is returning back to being on plane. So at this point in time, I also want to observe the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. This just simply means that we're retaining angle coming into the hitting zone. And this is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, aside from the fact that he's going to hit the ball straight due to the fact that the club has returned back to plane, which is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. Okay? The other thing I want you to note, though, is that if I go back down to address, and we talked about that hinge move that was critical to the golf swing, where the club head transitions above and behind, notice he achieves the exact same backwards check mark. Okay? The only difference is the forearm and the hand are in a different position. They're down here, only because at this point in time, we haven't maximized our wrist hinge yet. And when we create an athletic transition back into the ball, we're going to be retaining more angle. So that's why his lead forearm and his golf club are down further while we're in the exact same position here. So take a look at where he is here. Goes to the top, comes back into the ball, and bang, right into the exact same position here. Okay, and this is the most important aspect of a golf swing. So with you being where you are and where you started, you're not going to achieve this position. We're going to watch you come into the ball. We had still a little bit of excess run on here. We weren't even done the backswing just yet. Let's watch you create your transition back in. So you basically throw your hands way over the top and out in front of you. So let me get this club to maybe about here. Yeah. So let's mark the club head. Basically, your club head is located right there. So first and foremost, your club is not returning back to plane. Let's go to the next frame. Where's your club head going to go? Further in front. Next frame, further in front. So basically, if we were to just connect the dots, we can get a pretty good visual sense just how steep you're coming into the ball. Now, why are you coming into the ball steep? Well, you basically took the golf club back steep. And you're making this over the top move. So you're ultimately going to be attacking the ball from out to in. We can see with Jordan Spieth again that his golf club returned to plane here. That would be your frame right about here. And then his golf club tracks in the golf ball directly from this red line. So directly from on plane. I've already stipulated that this is what produces straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment. Lastly, assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. Okay, so three things we need if we want to hit the ball straight and be consistent. We have to aim well. Club has to come down on plane in order to hit the ball based on that alignment. And then the club face has to square up via having a good grip. Now seeing that the downswing planes are vastly different, let's just go ahead and take a quick look at the pass of the club. Well, Jordan's club is inside the ball, expanding out to make contact, moving through in a nice natural subtle arc. So again, he's going to hit the ball straight based on his aim. Well, your club is outside the ball, dropping down and across and making contact. And it's moving pretty aggressively across. So very simply put, if we square the face up to the swing path, obviously we're going to pull the ball way over to the left. If we release the club relative to the same path, not only will we pull the ball, but we'll hit some form of a pull draw or pull hook. If we leave the club face a little bit open, nice thing is we can block the ball maybe a little bit right of that, create a little bit of left to right spin because the face was open, and hit this nice sort of fading action back online. And that is the golf shot you will see when you make good contact and you pull everything off. If we keep the club face too open, incredibly we can block the ball even further right of that, even though we're swinging way left. At that point in time, we know the club face is massively open. We're imparting a ton of left to right spin, and we're going to hit some form of a block slice. So the end result of your golf shot is dictated based on the timing of the club face. Because the club is coming from the outside, striking the ball, moving to the inside. If we square this face up, it's following red. Over release the club following the smaller red arrows. Leave it wide open following blue. Time it properly, will follow yellow. But this does require a lot of timing on your part. As you move through, I like where your right heel is off the ground. Let's see if you get fully up off your right heel. So your finishing position looks great. At this point, we don't need Jordan anymore. So really what I want to look at now, lastly, is what was the contact like? So we come into the ball, we know we're coming in steep and way outside, dropping it down and across, and simply looks like we almost drive the ball down into the ground. So we're hitting the top of the ball almost. Ball's leaving low. It's leaving way left because that's where so you clearly squared the face up to the path. So based on all those arrows I described, we now know the club face squared up to the path and the ball is heading right at the tip of that arrow. Okay? So like I said, it requires a lot of timing on your part to leave that face open, to hopefully produce some form of a fading or slicing action, where hopefully the ball can start out here and then work its way back towards the intended target. But very, very difficult to do. And I do want to get back to what we talked about with your starting position and your ability to move through impact. Like right now, again, your athleticism's not able to shine through because when you come into this golf shot, you're just so jammed here. Like look at where you are. Almost impossible to get that club head back on the ball. So if you just change your posture, your distance away from the ball, even if you swing the golf club like this, at least you'll get the ball on the face of the club. You'll increase your launch angle, and the ball won't be hitting this particular spot of the club face. Okay? Anyways, at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. Be happy to structure a little program for you. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all, you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, feel free to reach out. Be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Anyways, I hope you had a fantastic day, and hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video.